Good morning, Smite fans, or perhaps good afternoon. If you are joining us from the EU side of things, we're back, the SCC, and indeed on the EU side of the SCC itself. Solar Scarabs going up against the Yomi Tanukis here today. Spooky and Blur here to take you through things in Blur. We've seen these teams throughout the season so far. Some successes, some not so successful games from both sides. Either way, today is our last chance of play before the road to Worlds. How are we feeling?
Well, this matchup is, well, we say the matchup is kind of solidified. A lot of the rosters are set in stone with where they're positioned. Hex Mambo are only 5-0 in this. They are guaranteed a spot. Solar Scarabs as well. They're currently sat at 3-1. And while you may look at the standings and think Niflheim Wargs have a shot if it goes 2-2, Solar Scarabs lose this match. Niflheim Wargs win theirs. Unfortunately, due to the heads-up match from week 3, Niflheim Wargs lost that to the Solar Scarabs. So it seems that top 3 are pretty much solidified. So it's pretty much a bit of pride for standings. Solar Scarabs would really like to get in on a we made it to second, it's a 4-1 guaranteed, rather than a we tied 3-2 but we beat Wargs and it was a head-to-head like that kind of situation. There's still a lot of pride on this, and if both these teams think that the matches are set in stone, then maybe we see some super spicy picks that are out there and things. They have a bit of fun with this one.
Well, speaking of potential super spicy picks, let's get straight to the picks and bans. See if we do see anything out of pocket coming through here. So you've mentioned how these teams kind of have their seeding almost guaranteed. They're looking pretty confident with where they are. If you are the Yomi Tanuki, are you looking to make a statement this game?
I think you've got to be, right? Like, what better way to end it off than saying, yeah, we took out the number 2 seed, you know? Like, maybe Solar Scarabs are just a better team, and they'll say, maybe you're right, but I want to take a stab at it anyway. I mean, why wouldn't you at this point? If you've got nothing to lose, that means you have everything to gain here, but as you look along sort of the bans phase, it's still pretty, both these teams still want to feel fairly comfortable in, let's keep it a bit serious. All of these bans feeling very much just the best picks that are around. Some shots towards solo. Yomi Tanuki's, though, a little bit more just a wide net on things, especially with this Ratatoska pick. Not necessarily a top one, but it is something that Apreel has played a lot, and it's run some pretty good games over in the EU side.
Yeah, always when you ban that Athena out, and don't opt to ban the Chernobog as well, use that open for the first picks, the Scarabs. Go and grab that for themselves. And this Ratatoska ban feels a little bit odd because it kind of limits what the Yomi Tanuki can really pick into it now, right? The Thor is gone. They got rid of the Ratatoska and the Athena themselves. So what do they do to match this Chernobog now, right? You've got the Anhur and the Raijin. Is that Raijin going mid to try to add pressure? Is it going solo to try to be dominant force over there with the Sun Wu ban? What are you looking at here?
I am looking at, like you said, ways to deal with this Chernobog. In the late stages of the game, Solar Scarabs may try to utilize that for, well, to fight that 4v5. You split push coming into the middle of the fight. Early rotations could be a big thing as, yeah, you're taking it back as well. One of my favorite gods in the game, first ever diamond. Nuwa gets picked up as Aphrodite is also locked in alongside the Solar Scarabs.
That was your favorite.
Yeah.
Okay, that one's your favorite.
War, okay. It was Old War, and it was back when she had the whole, like, the old Diamond Killers. It was a long time
I understand
ago.
that.
Then they changed her. So, yeah, first god I ever played as well. Just went into Assault and were like, pick something, and gave me Nuwa. I'm like, I love this god now. But very much
more
a case
acceptable.
Yeah, very interesting call there for the Nuwa. I wonder... And this is weird. I wonder if this is Nuwa solo because of how the mages have been seen in solo. I mean, it could be. It actually could be. It'd be fighting into an Osiris, which will not be a fun time. But it could be.
It could be. But let me throw another curveball at you, right? What if it's not Nuwa playing into Osiris, but a Nuwa playing into a Raijin, and the Osai goes back to the jungle?
That's another option as well. Hell, we've seen warriors in the ADC role. It could be Osiris
no, stop it.
on mid. I don't know. You want to get spicy?
Is Cyclone in this game?
Maybe. Yomi Tanuki's on the second phase of bans. They target out the jungle. They go physical damage. They know Solar Scarabs need it. Meanwhile, Solar Scarabs, there is not a frontline guardian and a high CC, so they take away 2 of the best. Now, Ares is up, but Solar Scarabs already picked the Aphrodite, so if she just out CDRs him, you are never getting that ult off at any point in time. That is just an absolute fact there. So I kind of feel like this Aphrodite pick was to curb out the idea of getting rid of Ares, and instead now it's a Cerberus who gets picked out. I hope you like what I did there.
I was literally thinking, maybe Serb out the pick. So yeah, we're same brain on this one here. But no, I mean, you look at the draft from Scarab so far, and they all have CC immunity. They're not purely reliant on this Aphrodite. It's so strong in avoiding these ultimates coming out. Jin Chen added on top can make it more difficult, and I have to wonder how much value the Cerberus pick really can find here. How many people are you really going to be able to hit with that Stygian Torment rather than just jumping in, starting your animation, and seeing, oh, literally everybody is golden now, and I can't do a thing. Pele pick comes through here. So, Pele jungle. I'm assuming an Afro support here.
No match for mine.
Oh, that's an interesting one. We haven't seen Erlang in a while.
We have not. I believe the last we saw that was a couple of weeks ago into SPL side of things. I think someone flooded with it. It was either jungle, ADC. It was something that was not expected, but Yomi Tanuki's draft, I really like this draft. You've got a lot of good frontline to just push forward. Osiris, Cerberus, and the Erlang Shen can all happily push forward. If this is going to be a Raijin solo, then one of these 2 warriors is going somewhere it shouldn't be, which is going to be fun to see. I mean, Solar Scarabs could still do it. Xing Chen support, Nuwa solo, Aphrodite mid. But I think you've hit it right there. It is going to be the Afro support, Xing Chen solo. So, looking at Solar Scarabs, they've got a super solid draft. I really like what Solar Scarabs have done. Yomi Tanuki's, again, like I said, if they've got nothing to lose, they've got everything to gain. If this is just a game where they get 5 comfort picks and they have a fun time, I take that as a win.
Well, we'll have to see who does come away with the actual win. The gameplay itself. We're going to hop into the game and take a look at everything on the board. And see where everything kind of falls out here. As expected, with that Erlang Shen pickup, it is TheFrenchEmperor taking the Erlang into the jungle. OgiBre takes that Osiris over to the solo lane. What's more interesting, I think, is that we do actually get to see Raijin in the mid lane, which doesn't feel like it should be interesting, but these days so often we see him just going over to that right side into the solo lane and not really being the typical mage you would expect to see. So, now that he's in this mid lane, expecting a little bit more of a power build from him rather than the hybrid bruisery kind of build that we've been seeing. How do you feel it goes into this new piloted by Zyrhoes? What do these team fights look like around these now?
So, for the Solar Scarabs here, Zyrhoes is playing their very typical, I would like to farm for 20 minutes and I'll show up a little bit later. Which works a bit more on the Nuwa. Worst comes to worst, Nuwa just ults and says I contributed to a team fight. Doesn't, but it's more contributing than not rotating at all. So from that side of things, Zyrhoes is more looking to farm. Pikarino, though, this is one of the gods who is most aggressive in the mid lane. Like, you are constantly trying to run down things. The only thing that is tempering it right now, I feel, is the fact that Apreel is also looking to try and punish any overextension. So it's less so much that these 2 mages want to fight. It's more a case of Pikarino really wants to fight, but doesn't want to lose out pressure and throw away a first blood. But look at this. Emperor's already on a rotation over to the left. Meanwhile, Apreel's gone right. He's going to get a look for a farm. It's just farm, no fighting.
Yeah, it's something that we've seen a lot, right? One side will go, look, maybe take a little peek at the solo lane. Other jungler heads over to that shield buff, picks that up. Now, personally, I feel like it is more valuable going for that shield buff, right? Keeps your dual lane a little bit further ahead. Get some golden XP going their way. More importantly, make sure that the other side can't pick it up for themselves. But we've constantly been seeing these junglers try to avoid actually meeting on that first shield buff. Do you think it's just too volatile to risk it? What do you think the logic is behind splitting like that?
So I think it's also a combination of, like you said, on paper, in the vacuum, getting that shield buff is more beneficial. It's extra health, it's more prots, you can be more aggressive over in the duo lane, get 2 people potentially ahead. But on that same standard, I think Deathwalker versus OgiBre, Deathwalker really needs to get a good start in this, as apreel already forced into bees. This might be first blood.
He's got to run. Raijin does connect, and the tick damage is enough. The slow so strong. apreel nowhere to go, and Pikarino picks up the first blood. Nice little bloodshed in the mid lane. That's what apreel gets for staying on that side so long. Ooh, that is lucky for Deathwalker. Would have hated to see a Xing 10 try to solo without blue buff.
Agreed on that, and that's part of what I was mentioning with Yomi Tanuki's. Yomi Tanuki's, if they put a tiny bit of pressure towards this lane, OgiBre's already got the better wave clear, Deathwalker is there kind of to just constantly sustain through it with that passive of HP 5. They are there to get slightly later into the game, so apreel giving the extra CDR just helps even that out a little bit, and then Deathwalker feels comfortable to take that. So the Scarabs end up in a bit of an awkward spot here. Yomi Tanuki's being able to knock down apreel. That is, I think, the big one as well, is getting the beads that early. TheFrenchEmperor just finds a pin, and apreel does not feel comfortable in that situation at all. Immediately beads, but then Pikarino goes ahead, follows it through beautifully. That's what ends up going down, because Zyrhoes doesn't really do anything early, even if they were there, but they just literally weren't. They'd back to base. They're off farming somewhere else. I believe they're coming back from base because they're still working on that both tier 2. So it's kind of a rough early for the Solar Scarabs. And they have had that issue in the past where both Deathwalker and Zyrhoes kind of play towards the late game. They're looking at more of a sort of farm for 20 minutes, come in, join big team fights, which has punished them in the past. I'm thinking a lot of the Chonga solos from Deathwalker. They've gone super stacking with like late games, so you get like a Warlock staff, that kind of stuff, and then they just never get the opportunity to be a part of team fights on an even footing. So I kind of do want to see Solar Scarabs push for more of a earlier look. Yomi Tanuki's, though, already punishing a lot. TheFrenchEmperor's first item, I really like the idea they've gone for here with this Atalanta's. It's a little bit snowbally, but it still holds like a little bit of early pen, a little bit of aggression. It's everything that Erlang Shen really, really wants. And as you can see there, attack speed, power, early penetration, and a gas pedal if you can get a kill or an assist in a team fight.
Yeah, nice little boost to his early game. And I've been wondering if we're going to see that item come through anytime soon. Recently buffed, but more effective these days. Small skirmish now. Over the shield buff. 3-on-3. Real silence. Stepping up big. Taunt comes in from the TheFrenchEmperor. The damage is good, but it doesn't seem to be doing enough. apreel still somehow alive with the pin. Puts him back down in the dirt. Echrome and Silence. Not enough fight back just yet. Still very early in their builds, but still StreakUp only has the tier 1 gauntlet. Comes out ahead in that fight.
You wanted to mention back in picks and bans how is Calvìn ever going to be able to do anything with Stygian Torment? Well, the answer is they're never going to be the first person in. TheFrenchEmperor blinks, gets a 3-man 9 turns blessing. iSilenced is like, oh my god, I gotta ult this. I gotta save people here. Does just that. The problem is then Calvin's right in front of them saying, oh, that's Undying Love. I guess I'll just Stygian Torment right now. And ends up picking up 2. So a great work there from the Yomi Tanukis. Again, constantly trying to apply pressure there. And that's the second death that this Pele has taken. Honestly, Pikarino, I don't think Pikarino is going to care now if apreel shows up. They're on even keel at this point in time. And, well, Pikarino just has burst damage, slightly more so than apreel at this point, I feel.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a tough look for the Scarabs jungler right now. Not all doom and gloom. Does have that first item online, Jotun's Wrath. It will be making this Pele a little bit more effective. Got the power and pen, the cooldown. Hopefully enough to get a couple extra rotations in these fights. But like you said, Apreel is falling a little bit behind. Not necessarily in levels, but slightly in the gold department. FrenchEmperor is working on his next item. Got that tier 1 online. Does Apreel just look elsewhere? And I'm worried about Pikarino. Because as you said, Raijin can turn fights around pretty effectively. The Taiko drums come out. It's a lot of CC, a lot of damage. That's not even taking into account the Thunder Crash and how disruptive that can be. So do they just look over the duo side? Maybe try to target StreakUp and Calvìn?
It's a possibility that I wouldn't mind, but at the same time, if you've got Echrome with that Living Nightmare, you kind of want to fight away from the Chernobog so that they can come in at a later date. That is one thing that Yomi Tanuki's can use to deal with this Chernobog in the early stages, is instead of having to worry about, oh, where's Living Nightmare coming in? Are they rotating into us? Is you do fight in that duo lane, and Yomi Tanuki's now... they've kind of got this position where they can fight wherever they want. If OgiBre wants to potentially get a bit of extra pressure for the team, they could potentially rotate a little early. I wouldn't be surprised if this first Gold Fury is a fight that comes around in the next 3 to 4 minutes. Maybe we see Pyromancer coming up shortly as well, so that could be where the teams want to fight. But FrenchEmperor, that second item, if that is going to be a Rune Forge, that to me screams, I want a big fight where lots of people are taking lots of damage all at once. Yomi Tanuki's have a really good early for this, and you can see here, Echrome getting bullied out by just the two of them. It feels like Solar Scarabs are sort of playing catch-up. It's like, oh, Calvìn rotated, Silence, you better rotate as well, and then rotates. And then Calvin's come back, so it's almost Solar Scarabs being pulled each and every direction here. They need to just find somewhere that they can go, no, we are fighting here. Because right now, sure, Yomi Tanuki's haven't really had they've got a couple of picks. It's been small little skirmishes that they've won and things. But if that sort of momentum keeps going, it's just going to build and build and build. And as you think of this like capsizing, like rocking a ship, it's going to tip the ship at some point.
Now, looking at the objective fights, right? You mentioned this Fury coming up very soon here. Well, it is up, but no one's looking at this pre-10 minutes just yet. I'm looking at these drafts, and they both feel pretty strong on those 5-on-5 fights. The first Fury is rarely ever a full 5-on-5, right? It's more typically maybe a 3 or 4 people rotation over there. Solos maybe not quite as fast getting to that fight. And I look at the Scarabs draft, and I realize a big part of their team fight does come from Deathwalker and the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel being able to pull beads or throw someone out of position for the Scarabs to then capitalize on. So if you're looking at an early Fury, and you don't have Deathwalker over there, how do you approach these fights? Because you're looking at 9 turns Blessing, Taiko drums, you're looking at the Stygian Torment. It feels so difficult for the Scarabs to actually push into that without their solo laner.
Yeah, it's going to be awkward here. Apreel again, caught in an awkward spot. There go the beads. But like you mentioned, there's just no real major CC for a team fight here. It's all kind of damage from the Solar Scarabs outside of Deathwalker's ult. You haven't got any good look in here, but a loop around the back. Pillar might be a problem. There's the blink. There's go time.
Echrome burns the beast trying to get out. Apreel has the Volcanic Lightning caught. Can't get out of dodge, and the FrenchEmperor puts him down. Silence now pinned down, trying to find a way out, but the dive is coming through. FrenchEmperor needs one more hit, and he gets the double kill. Calvìn tanking up that tower. The Yomi Tanuki are firing on all cylinders right now, Blur. Their team fights may not be 5-on-5s, but they're finding some great synergy.
It may not be a 5-on-5, but they are 5-5-5 with this kind of play that they're getting here. And it comes back to exactly what you mentioned. It's all the CC in the game is on Tanuki's side, so they can choose and pick whatever fight they like. Deathwalker, you may have heard, I was like, whoa, what's this? Deathwalker's second item looking to try and get that Book of Thoth. It's a great item, don't get me wrong, and Mage solos get to build it because they need a bit of power in their kit, but I'm not sure I necessarily want to see it on Deathwalker. Like, if I'm thinking,
if the mages can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, but you're a Guardian, and your whole point is to have CC. Like, you've got okay scaling, but the whole point is, like, Furious Roar does great work on your HP basis. You don't need extra scaling on it. Like, if you want more mana for like, I don't even know why you need it. Like, just get some MP5 in the kit. Like, I'm not 100% sold on this item. It feels very much like Deathwalker has again fallen back on that Chunga solo idea of I'm going to resign myself to farming for a while. I'll see you later. And like you rightly pointed out, Deathwalker needs to be in these fights early because they're the entire initiation for the team.
First beacon now gets captured. That one goes the way of the Tanuki, and not even a breath of resistance put up against that one. Silence. Good lord, takes so much damage. Has to trade ult for ult there. Undying Love on cooldown. Keep an eye on who's over here on this left side. French Emperor in the area. Not opting to take the deep dive, but with that ultimate on cooldown, could be some grouping for this Fury. Pikarino making the rotation over. Just take a look where the Scarabs are. They are not in position to try to defend this. Apreel stepping forward, trying to look for something, but he's fallen quite a few times. Oh, Fury now started up. It's just a bait. The 9 turns blessing comes through. Silence. He's pinned into the wall. There's nowhere for him to go. The French Emperor turns into a little weasel and weasels him away. His life is forfeit. It's a full 5 grouping now for the Gold Fury. The Scarabs can do nothing about it.
Not at all. With OgiBre's rotation as well, great timing on that. Just lets them rotate in, no problems whatsoever. Gold Fury goes down, and you saw their solo Scarabs kind of whole fight was fire shards. And that was absolutely it. It's again just trying to push out pressure. Deathwalker gets a wave into the tower, which is great, but OgiBre's more than comfortable with that, especially as well. Look at the options they've gone for. It's a sturdy stew pickup for them that they can now. They just want to be in a team fight with people. Solo side has very rarely ever strayed from like Bountiful Bow or the Golden Gooseberries, but this here's Echrome gets just run at again. This left side not having a good time, but it screams to me that Yomi Tanukis have said, "Hey, Solo Scarabs want to wait for 20 minutes before they get a 5-on-5 team fight. Let's fight 5-on-5 from like 15 minutes and just win in the next 5."
Yeah, Tanuki have taken a good hold of this game so far. 6-0 is our scoreboard right now, but the gold lead, maybe not quite as big as you may have expected from this. Sure, the Scarabs are definitely struggling, but 15 minutes in, 14 and a half, we'll call it. Tanuki only up 3,000 gold. This is not an indomitable position, right? We've seen teams come back from this kind of deficit before. The question is, how long does that take, and what pieces of the puzzle need to fall into place for the Scarabs? Because so far, it doesn't look like they have any of the pieces, like even in their hands. They're still trying to open the box to figure out what they're looking at in there. These different pieces of the puzzle, the gods they have on their draft, I'm just not seeing how it's coming together. And the Tanuki are slowly but surely, just taking away each objective they see on the map here.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough right now. I mean, you look at it like you said, all the pieces are on the board for Yomi Tanukis. They got a really nice like King's Indian defense in chess terms. Meanwhile, Solo Scarabs are still trying to get the checker pieces. Oh come on, it's chess, okay? It's a fun one. It's just chess openings. It's gonna make a really nice position about how Solo Scarabs are still trying to get the checker pieces out of the box, but you know,
I prefer
I do
checkers.
agree. You know what? That makes sense. That explains a lot of things here. As French Emperor looking to potentially take a fight with OgiBre, 2 levels up. OgiBre just getting melted here. There is nowhere they're out. Calvìn picks up 1, and that is a 7th kill for Yomi Tanukis, and a 7th kill the French Emperor has had a phenomenal hand in.
Yeah, Apreel had simply nowhere to go there. He was caught, and that was pretty much the end of things. As soon as he ran into French Emperor, I think he pretty much knew that he was not making it out of that one. Held on to the beads, held on to the blink, did not hold on to that ultimate, and got caught as a result. Now pressure once again back on this purple buff, Echrome. Let's be very careful here. Could be a 3-man dive. Calvìn leading the way. Living Nightmare immediately used.
Where's he gonna go?
He's gonna go all the way over to Pikarino. That's a level 17 Raijin. It's not someone you fight, but it is someone you run away from. Echrome is to keep his life for now. It comes at the cost. That tier 1 tower and his purple buff going down. Tanuki just have a monopoly on this left side of the map. I just gotta wonder where the Scarabs even look to try to start mitigating this. Obviously, apreel can't really do much against TheFrenchEmperor. He's 2 levels down. Can't take a one-on-one fight. Try to fight the duo lane. Well, your whole duo lane is also behind. But do you look over at that right side? Do you try to put pressure on OgiBre? Do you even try to get a kill with Deathwalker's help there? Feels tough.
It's really tough at this point in time. I mean, iSilenced is doing everything they can, but at this point, Yomi Tanuki, that momentum has really started to form into something kind of dangerous that Solar Scarabs can't deal with. I mean, you look at it, Zyrhoes has ulted twice, and the second time, if it wasn't for the fact that there was a great big animation, a whole sound, I would have noticed. Health bars didn't exactly move. So, you look at the build that Zyrhoes has opted for. It's the Soul Gem, which makes a lot of sense. You want to get that extra burst, that 30% additional power or 30% additional power scaling on the ult. Makes it hit just that little bit harder. I think it practically doubles the scaling on it, which is huge. But at the same time, there's no real penetration. There's a little bit of power in. But he's level 17, but Fire Shards doesn't start doing a lot until you get like 4 or 5 items deep. And with another Fury going the way, Deathwalker is here. It's a starting fight. Fire Shards is used very early on just for chip damage, but it's not enough.
Well, when a Raijin Steel does get used, but burns only the beads. Now Calvìn pushing forward. The Taiko drums come through. They catch iSilenced. He's got nowhere to go. And OgiBre simply cuts him down. Flails too good. Now OgiBre chasing down, looking to pressure Echrome out of this fight. They're going to turn around and collapse onto apreel, who just simply falls. They cannot survive these fights. The Scarabs have to go in to deal their damage, but they cannot survive once they're in there. Silenced completely, consistently. The first target burned away. The Fury goes the way of Tanuki.
Absolutely beautiful. Yomi Tanuki not only punch a hole straight in to whatever of the Solar Scarabs team they can find, but it kind of baits the Scarabs into thinking, yo, we can loop around behind them, we can flank them. That's exactly where they want to be. They want to be in the thick of things as that 5-man grouping. Solar Scarabs' best hope right now is Echrome, who's got a lot of penetration online, level 16. But even so, there's no support to be able to peel from them. And this is the other side of not having any CC for the team, or any major CC, is, okay, so you can't initiate. How do you peel for people? What is stopping Yomi Tanuki's from 5-man running at you? Because Pikarino, just as soon as Taiko drums finished, it would jump in on him with everyone else. There is no way to peel them off at this point. And at 20 minutes in, an 0-9 is a goose egg, and I'm genuinely questioning at this point, do Solar Scarabs even get a kill here?
They've got to at some point, right? There's got to be a point where the Tanuki overstep. It might be, just Deathwalker throwing someone into Fountain at the end of the game, but I've got confidence that they'll find at least one kill here. They're going to have to work hard for it, because like you said, we are pushing deep into this game. 0-9, it's not the best look. And remember, Scarabs is the favorite team to win here. They have the higher seeding. And Tanuki, I asked you if they were here to make a statement, and I think this is very clearly a statement. Potentially a follow-up one here as well. Calvìn coming in, looking to pull the Undying Love away. They do get it. 9 turns Blessing, pulls Science back in. He's getting shredded down. StreakUp, up and down over the wall. Cuts down iSilenced once more. Echrome. Now the target bees come through, but you can't survive for very long. The Aegis is only delaying the inevitable. The Tanuki walk out with 2 more. apreel, what are you even doing? What are you going to do? You going to go in? You're going to go in? That's a lot of damage, but the Aegis is just going to deny the kill. And Pikarino walks away just fine.
You say just fine. Calvìn did take a lot of damage trying to tank up the tower there. StreakUp, I thought was actually trying to backbait Zyrhoes there, but no, does get the full back off. And bear in mind, that was the mid lane Raijin walking behind the tier 2 tower. You can see the pings come out like, guys, there were 4 people here. Where the hell was everyone else? Zyrhoes makes the rotation late, and sure, apreel gets that 1v1 situation against Pikarino, but At this point, there is a 4-level deficit. This Pele just cannot do anything. And now all 5 members of the Yomi Tanuki have just swarmed over to the Fire Giant side. Deathwalker knows. But what's Deathwalker going to do? Fire Giant doesn't matter. And at this point in time, I don't think Solar Scarabs are even going to be able to get there in time. Deathwalker does good work, and it might be enough.
He's delaying it, but it's not going to be enough. Pikarino does cut him down. The Tanuki secure the Fire Giant. Now, with the rest of the Scarabs showing up, it's the full send from the Tanuki. Apreel diving in deep, looking for Pikarino, but he cannot find it. StreakUp just cuts him down for the 7th time this game. They are not having any of it. You know what, Blur? At this point in the game, if I'm Zyrhoes, I'm just pressing 4 on cooldown, and I'm farming damage numbers.
He is, but look at his damage of it. He's still 4th overall on the charts. There's no way he can actually get in to do anything at this point. There's 14 kills. All of them have TheFrenchEmperor's name on them, be that in kills or assists, and half of them have been on apreel. I feel like this might be a grudge match because apreel and TheFrenchEmperor have essentially swapped teams at this point. So
It's true.
that it may just be a bit of a grudge match between the two of them. But I mean, you look at how this game has gone. Solar Scarabs, I hate doing this because it always makes it sound so defeatist, but you're looking at game 2 like, guys, maybe we draft CC, that thing that's really good that, you know, helps team fights start. Maybe we draft some of that. And like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, apreel, you just need to play better, because you kind of got picked and then constantly got picked because there was no way to keep going in. I mean, yeah, you'll share one of this.
Apreel, you can play better. No, but you raised a very valid point there, and while we never like saying, oh, you know, just think about game 2. When you're 23, 24 minutes into the game, 0-14 at over a 10k deficit, you're probably for your own mental no longer in game number 1. Right, this one is pretty much gone. There's still some potential for you to save the game, but at this point, all the time left in this game is really more about strategizing for game number 2. What are we doing wrong? What are the Tanuki doing right? What is the problem in this draft right now? And how can we address this going forward?
Look at
apreel doesn't look bad on the Pele. It just feels like he's had a couple bad early fights where he got caught out, and now he just cannot do anything because he's so far behind.
Yeah, the god Pele does not look bad. Unfortunately, everything else looks better right now, I think is the safest way to describe this. As Titans over on the right-hand side, Yomi Tanuki aren't even 5-man pushing this. They are just 3-1-1ing this, which is a very weird split to see. And now they're going to start coalescing over. We do see both the warriors for the Yomi Tanuki pushing in mid, but the fight's over on right.
Echrome up and down to the Living Nightmare. Does not get the reset or the damage mitigation. It's just the safety.
Ogi.
The CC immunity. OgiBre pushing apreel back as this Titan walks forward and finally gets melted down just in front of the right side Phoenix. Still mid-bird, getting shredded right now. Still alive somehow. The Scarabs have dug their heels in deep, and they've shown they still have some bite back in this game. No one falls. They've got another chance. They've got a little bit longer to try to hold this line.
Just about, but that line is very faltering, and Yomi Tanuki's, they're just going to
There
push on in. Taiko drums are big, they're pulling members in.
OgiBre has to get on the bird himself to cut it down, but with the bird down, the damage can come through. StreakUp finds a double kill. The desert has no fury like StreakUp. It's a triple kill for the ADC. The health bars are low from the Yomi Tanuki, but the team bar for Scarabs is even lower. Even so, the Tanukis will back up here. Try to play this a little bit safer. They don't want to risk getting wiped on a risky Titan push and pull back this right side.
Yeah, you can't at this point in time. You know that you want to win this. And if you can win this at 17-0, that is a huge look for them. Members have started to back up. Ogi's teleported back on through. And now this right side Phoenix is going to go down. Calvìn still low. Calvìn might be the first to fall for the team.
No way!
He's just going to get away.
Oh my god, the obelisk comes through. Make sure they can't get any more shots out.
Is he dead?
And Calvìn.
Is he dead?
He dies!
No!
The fire
It's
shards are
It's
enough
over.
to finally put the Scarabs on the board 27 minutes into the game. Echrome gonna look to try to find another, but the Lord of the Afterlife continues to survive. Deathwalker finds the whirlwind of rage and steel, and Echrome finds the second. The Scarabs clap back.
Wait.
It's a fire giant pull from the Solar Scarabs. Could this be the comeback they're finally looking for?
No way. There is no way. Both frontline end up falling. Deathwalker can do a fantastic job at defending here. You called it. I thought it was an impossibility. Yomi Tanuki's were so far ahead that their momentum has transcended all of physics and come back round to bite them in the backside. As on the retreat, Solar Scarabs grab 2 and fire. Now they are down 2 Phoenixes. This fire giant does not even the keel even slightly, but it buys them a little bit more time. There are now 5 minutes that they do not have to worry about Yomi Tanuki with Fire Giant. 5 minutes they have of pushing out 2 lanes and potentially looking to answer back a little bit more here. Gold, still relevant. Levels, still relevant. But it's going to matter less and less and less here.
I mean, just take a look at the builds right now. StreakUp, he goes for the Deathbringer, Envenomed, online. Tanuki able to take out this Pyromancer. Scarabs grab the 2 bigger objectives here. Still, like you said, it doesn't even this game out. It's still 2 birds down. All they've truly done is deny the Tanuki the opportunity to get this fire giant. They still have a hell of a defense to put up with 2 waves of fire minions walking down. Their left side is the only bastion of safety the Scarabs still have. I don't think the Tanuki are about to shy away from pushing this down just because the Scarabs took 1 decent fight and have a fire giant. The gold lead is still a full item in favor of each member of Tanuki right now.
It's going to be a difficult one. A very difficult one, because Yomi Tanuki's there, still looking to try and siege out on this left-hand side. I like the call there. They know they've got pressure coming through from the other 2 lanes. So sure, they're going into a fire giant fight. But, like you said, builds, items, all look so much better for the Yomi Tanukis here. So, at this point, Solar Scarabs have to try and defend on that. The timing is so nice, because that mid-Phoenix is bound to respawn in a matter of moments here. And there's still fire minion waves that they've got to be dealt with. That Phoenix will fall. So, Yomi Tanukis just dangle themselves in front. They'll hide themselves around here. Looking to try and just clear that out. They want that mid-Phoenix more than the left. That was just a distraction to get those minions a little bit closer. Deathwalker goes forward, shoved back immediately. They're trying to bait it out as long as they can. Where's that trigger for go?
Echrome doing a good job putting a lot of damage out onto Calvìn and OgiBre, both frontliners. Half health right now. Calvìn looking a little bit healthier. This is a slow burn. The minions walking in. This is the last wave of fire minions in the mid lane. It just gets cut down.
Okay. That was a good hold from Solar Scarabs. I was thinking that they needed to pull the trigger, they go in, but that is the reason why I am sat here and they are sat in the game. They recognize, hey, Deathwalker is our only major initiation, so Yomi Tanuki is going to wait for it. Let's just make him keep waiting and waiting and waiting. They hold that first Phoenix to respawn, which is good. It's another thing. The second Phoenix is respawned. There's 1 more wave of fire minions on the left-hand side that need to be dealt with. Aside from that, this fire giant has brought Solar Scarabs back to an even map state. Now everyone is level 20, so team fights are a little bit more even. This now is about as even as it is going to get. Apreel, 0 and 8, doesn't matter. You are at the late game. You can still be an impactful member of the team. You do really want to get rid of that party punch, but like I said, this is the most even a fight that these 2 teams have had in the last 25, 26 minutes. Yeah, 30. Okay, I was going to be nice and say that at the beginning of the game they were fine, but yeah, let's call it what it is. The last 30 minutes.
So, take a look at the ward coverage from Tanuki right now. They've got that left side lit up right around that Phoenix. They've got a runic bomb that they did not use to break that mid Phoenix down. Gotta wonder what the exact plan is here. Tanuki in a position to go for the Fire Giant. This is going to be the enhanced Fire Giant this time around. It would have been paying dividends if the Tanuki had been able to break that mid lane Phoenix down before the EFG spawns in. Instead, Scarabs should have enough room to step forward fully this Fire Giant dance. We've seen time and time again the Tanuki are able to take these jungle fights. They're able to split up the Scarabs so effectively. So how do they adjust here at this crucial moment? Because make no mistake, this should be the final fight of the game. If the Tanuki are able to kill members of the Scarabs and take this EFG, that's game-ending potential. Scarabs have to avoid that.
Scarabs do, but at this point in time, it is mainly the Yomi Tanukis, like you said, playing for a win. Sure, this is the thing. If solo Scarabs get a deicide, they walk in and end the game. But if Yomi Tanukis lose 1 or 2, they lose this Fire Giant, they lose the 3 tier 1 the 3 tier 2 towers that's still around. There is that little bit of a buffer that they have. So, sure, there's, about 7,000 gold tied up in the structures. Oh, not 7,000, excuse me, but a fair bit of gold tied up in there. As Silenced is so far forward, Silence's health bar is so little, though.
Yeah, Echrome goes up. Zyrhoes goes up into the sky, comes back down, somehow still alive for right now. In the back, Pikarino getting pressured by Deathwalker himself. He finds the first kill. StreakUp is next to fall. Apreel finally gets the kill. The first one of the game, and it's absolutely massive. 2 fall for the Yomi Tanuki. And the Scarab stands strong with 5 around the EFG. You told me 30 minutes ago 20 minutes ago that the Scarabs would be standing 4-17 at the Fire Giant as the victors of a team fight. I would have laughed in your face, Blur.
I would have also laughed in my own face because I would have said, I'm making a joke, it's sleep deprived. But at this point in time, Solo Scarabs' draft is doing exactly what it wants to do. Deathwalker is able to tank up enough, and with all the damage is going into iSilenced, they are tanky enough to sustain through. That is the big thing there. You can't just pick off the Aphrodite now. You have to find some other target. Mid-Phoenix is actually destroyed and taken down quickly. I thought Solo Scarabs might have, or Yomi Tanukis might have a buffer, but instead, Scarabs just punch through. This game is even, and given the map momentum, Solo Scarabs are the one leading the game now for the first time since ever. Straight up since ever. The way they're playing these team fights is they're saying, okay, we have no CC whatsoever. So fight us. Fight us and win. And if you can't, well, when all the CC's down, our team just has more damage. And thanks to this Aphrodite pick, that is what is happening. Silenced using the full extent of their health bar. I don't think they wanted to use quite as much as they did, but they used all of their health bar. They hold on Dying Love till the barest last minute, the last second that they can. And with Compassion online, with all of these defense items online, a Mantle of Discord now finished as well, there is so much protection for this Aphrodite. She can self-peel for herself. All she needs to keep doing is keep hitting 3. Stun out someone, hit 3, keep healing, and when things get really, really bad, hit 4. Back off is not really there for anything else outside of a little bit of disruption. It is all about the healing from iSilenced. Can we actually take a look at the healing? I just want to see how much they've got right now, because now looking at player damage, you can see, yeah, Solo Scarabs, they're winning this through. Yeah, sorry about that. But one of the rookies.
He said, here's net worth.
There's damage mitigated. There's hey, good warding. We like the warding. I swear there's one for healing. But we'll get to that in a bit. No one needs any more XP. There's gold per minute. Gold in hand. A lot of gold in hand, actually, for Ogi. Looking for a 3k pot. We'll see it in post-game stats. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We've got a siege to talk about here. As Solo Scarabs looking to push down the right or the left-hand side.
This has been the craziest gold comeback I've ever seen. Scarabs looking to step forward. Stygian Torment comes through, doesn't find any value. It does pull the Undying Love from Silenced. That could be all that they need. Echrome, take a little bit of damage there. But between EFG and the Aphrodite, these health bars are not going to stay low for very long. Apreel brings up the fire waves here. Just looking to get some pressure in on that Titan. Pull someone away from this left side Phoenix. Deathwalker teleports back in over the wall, comes on in, looping around, looking for anyone to put the damage into. Echrome still alive. The bird finally falls down. Deathwalker finds the whirlwind of Rage and Steel onto OgiBre, throws him in, and apreel cuts him down. The Taiko drums, though, put a lot of damage through, but it's not going to stop the Scarabs from merging forward, finding a double kill. Undying Love comes right back up, keeps Echrome alive. Now, a slow reset for the Scarabs. 2 birds down. They have to be careful. They cannot allow themselves to fall here. Look at the healing from Echrome right now. He is right back to health, people. Tier 2 gonna fall. Last bird.
That's absolutely incredible, man. Like, look at what we're seeing here. Look at this.
Wow.
Deathwalker able to tank
Oh my God.
EFG doesn't even need to look at the Phoenix at this point. That's the thing. That extra 50% backdoor protection stripping is so good. Solar Scarabs can take any of these fights whenever they like. They've got the checkerboard, and it wasn't a checkerboard. It was actually a gun case with a 50 cal in it, because they just completely obliterated Yomi Tanuki's entire base.
Look, I think we have to pay some credit here where it's due.
Yes.
This whole game, we've talked about the Tanuki. We've talked about them kind of running through the Scarabs in fight after fight. We talked about Silence, Apreel getting focused, but the backline from the Scarabs so far, Zyrhoes and Echrome, have stayed so safe consistently throughout this entire game. I mean, even at 0-14, Zyrhoes hadn't fallen a single time, not a single death. Echrome, sure, took a couple spills, but you're being rotated on by 3 people in your tower. I'm not gonna hold that one against you.
Sure.
The Scarabs have done so well, just showing tenacity and safe positioning. Apreel got bullied throughout this game. The rest of the Scarabs simply stood back and held the line, and it's paid dividends. They're now on the cusp of reclaiming this game as a victory for themselves. Back down to the CFG.
And so far, like you said, everything is what they gave up what they needed to do, but their mental did not shatter on it. They bend but don't break. Yomi Tanuki's now. They need to change up the game plan. They need to find someone else. Look at Echrome if they can, as Calvìn throws Stygian Torment wide, and that's a bad way to start this off because Calvin's gone.
Echrome still alive, ducks into a wall, and Zyrhoes picks up a double kill. The fire shard's doing so much damage. FrenchEmperor tries to use the 9 turns blessing for the heal, but it's too little, too late. He cannot survive long enough for it. StreakUp pops the bees, just trying to stay alive, trying to get some more damage out. And still, he cannot find anyone. The damage isn't enough. Comes in, disperses Apreel, finds 1 kill. But in the meantime, Echrome and Zyrhoes, the backline heroes, go to end this game. The Yomi Tanuki, after a dominant performance, lose the game, and the Scarabs come back strong, put themselves up 1-0.
Are you kidding me? How do you... That is absolutely incredible work there from the Solar Scarabs, recognizing, hey, we got 2-3 picks. As long as we stop StreakUp from getting back to base, we can end. That is so beautifully played. That is an endgame masterclass from the Solar Scarabs. Absolutely insane work. That is one hell of... I'm tilted. If I'm in that game and I'm up 11,000 gold in 20 minutes
13.
with 2 Phoenixes going down, and then I lose the game 20 minutes later, I'm tilted for the Tanukis at this point, man. That hurts.
And that's just goes to show why we don't like saying, start thinking about game number 2, because apparently they didn't need to. Or maybe they did start thinking about game 2, and they realized, oh, well, all the things we're thinking about, we could just do in this game right here and now. Let's just do that and win for ourselves. Scarabs just hold the line. And it really comes down to those Phoenix sieges where they were able to buy so much time for
Mm.
themselves. And it really started when Calvìn just goes a little bit too deep and gives the Scarabs one kill. And OgiBre hands over a second. And then it's the Fire Giant. And Scarabs just start rolling through everything. Take a look at the healing. I know you wanted to see that. 11,500 from iSilenced.
Pretty good. Now, bear in mind, Calvìn did have a meditation as well, so I'm looking at this only 900. It's a little bit lackluster coming through from them, but at the same time, looking at the way this draft was, it was all focused towards that late game, just gas pedaling anyone up. And from the Yomi Tanuki side, they played exactly as their comp should. It's find picks early, keep it going. But then when it got to that later stage, it was just that target focus. They couldn't find anyone except iSilenced. And that's the front line. There are times in the game where the phrase, do not focus the tank, can be ignored. This is not one of those times when the rest of the team gets to play that effectively. Times when do not focus the front line doesn't matter is when they just get obliterated quickly or the entire draft hinges on them. And sure, the entire draft did hinge somewhat on this Aphrodite living. But the reason for that was because it's Aphrodite lived after taking all of the damage from the team. That's the bit that mattered there. If you don't put all your damage into Aphro, suddenly Aphro living doesn't seem to matter so much.
Yeah, they focused silence throughout the game, and in the early and mid, it was working out where they could kill him. The longer it went, though, the longer it took, and at the end, it just takes a little too long. That does it for game number 1. That is by far no means the end of the set. The Tanuki still have a chance to come back from this. So stick around. We'll be right back with game number 2.
inside my head. Wasn't looking for love, but baby, I found you instead. Saw you in the red dress. I can't seem to understand how you got all that finesse. Still been running in circles inside my head. Wasn't looking for love.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Tanukis versus the Scarabs. And after a confusing game number 1, the Scarabs have put themselves up in this set. Blur, I gotta wonder, how do the Tanukis even begin to come back from that? I mean, the emotional damage that they must have taken from that loss, staggering.
It is so hard. Like, these are teams who are forged in this kind of fighting and understand that their mental's got to be important here. But that feels like there is a limit to how much you can take. 20-minute lead, 13,000 gold, loss. Like, that is so difficult as well, especially when you look at the draft and you look at the way they played it. What was it, sorry?
That's the kind of game I sign off of Smite after.
Yeah, I agree on that. But you got at least one more. I say you got one more game to play. Let's assume you got 2 more games to play because you're playing to win here.
Yeah.
So you gotta scrape that one away. Say, oops, done goofed. VEG. Wait, no, cancel that. Sorry. Pretty much on that one, and you just gotta go back to the drawing board because. Like, I don't even know if you need to change up your bans or your picks. I think the only thing you could look at potentially doing is not giving such a good late game comp. I think the only one that you could look at to change that would be Chernobog, because that was so safe in these fights, and that was the one that killed all the towers, that let the team win.
Well, let's get to that drawing board here. Back to the picks and bans, see what these teams come up with. I don't know. If I'm the Tanuki, it really feels like it was an immediately the Aphrodite is just gone. That's a weird one to me because they handled it so well throughout the entirety of the game. It was just a matter of letting it go too long. Right? Calvìn steps up too far. And really, the Tanuki at that point had completely dismantled the base of the Scarabs. It was just they didn't stay on the same page there. Maybe have decided Aphrodite is a problem, not gonna deal with it anymore. Do they look to ban away more? I guess healers are the problem for the Tanuki.
Tanuki have said, look, if we're gonna go to a 40-minute game, we're not doing it with healers, because the longer those go, the worse it is. Every TKO is irrelevant when you have a healer, just not letting them have that. And also trying to strip away some good team fight potential. I will say that. The Emoja makes sense. These are all target bans towards iSilenced, and now towards apreel, again, taking away that Ratatuska. Now, the Chernobog is up, and it kind of feels like that was a choice by the Scarabs. Yomi Tanuki say, look, we banned Athena last time, we're picking that up. So Echrome could very easily just go back to that pick, because it looked so clean for them. When we were on that left side Phoenix, we didn't get to see it much, but the second any aggression was on them, into a wall, gone. Yeah. No worries whatsoever. Echrome just has the most annoying time to kill when it comes to being on this pick. And now you get the Raijin as well. I hope this is going to Zyrhoes, but it's more than likely not going to Deathwalker here.
Yeah, I would expect Deathwalker to try to take it. I would rather see it just in Zyrhoes' hands. I like the Raijin mid. I think Zyrhoes is a fantastic mid laner who could put this Raijin to a lot of use.
Hold my fury.
Wait and see. They're going to run back on her Chernobog matchup here. This Chernobog shouldn't be quite as effective this time around, though, just because the Athena does exist in this game. So there is the potential to match those rotations.
You don't.
I've
want
talked
to
a lot
stand
about
in my
Sun
way.
Wukong, Blur. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to let you talk about the Sun Wukong, because you already
Okay.
know my thoughts on it.
Yes, I definitely know your thoughts on the Sun Wukong. A very aggressive situation. That's kind of what I'm feeling these, the few warriors who can remain in the solo lane are there for. It's high aggression, high clearing the wave. Against these mages, you can do so. You don't get the luxury of building Breastplate of Valor and it being effective against your lane opponent, though. So this Wukong is here to lane bully in terms of just trying to out-clear. So we get our way into the second phase of picks and bans. Couple of shots still towards the Yomi Tanuki. I like the idea of taking the French Emperor off of this Erlang Shen.
Yeah.
Getting rid of that. It was the driving factor for most of the game. Get rid of it. It was too impactful. Sure, the Solar Scarabs now have the Ganesha for it, but at the same time, you don't want to have Ganesha just pocketing just the jungler because it's just Erlang Shen. You need them to be a little bit more flexible with their peel. Zyrhoes going back to the Nuwa. Not the biggest fan of it. It didn't have that great of a performance. It felt kind of like a nothing burger. It was just there in the mid lane so that it wasn't a 4v5. It kind of felt like. Sure, the
Shall we get
ultimate
to it
has
then?
some benefits towards the later stage of the team fight when you can start off a team fight having everyone on 80% health. That's pretty good. On the other side of things, though, it just doesn't do anything else aside from that, really.
You got the first kill with it.
Yeah.
Zyrhoes
Okay.
just got the first kill for the
Yeah.
Scarabs with it. that counts for something, right? That's gotta be
Okay.
noteworthy.
I mean, okay, that's noteworthy because that first kill led to OgiBre dying, which led to a fire giant, which led to the game continuing. So yes, Nuwa is the pick that won the game. If you really want to stretch causality to its absolute breaking point, then yes, Nuwa was the MVP pick. But I think iSilenced might fight you on that one. The last picks coming through. Susano and Janus coming through for the Yomi Tanukis. Again, this comp feels all like a high aggression dive with some slightly different picks. Solar Scarabs actually have a lot more CC this time. And with the Darji for follow-up, with the Raijin, even the Nuwa, I'm loving both of these drafts now. It's refinement from game number 1. And I can't wait to see how these two teams clash heads here with these drafts.
Well, before iSilenced can fight me, he first has to fight the Yomi Tanuki again. So let's go ahead and see how that one plays out. And hopefully he won't have too much fight left for me afterwards.
Oh, I don't
Looking
know.
at
I
the-
mean, you go...
What?
Well, all right. I was just gonna say, well, you're going to Worlds, aren't you? I'm pretty sure you're going to Worlds, but then I couldn't remember if you were or weren't going to Worlds, so I didn't want to say you were and make you feel sad if you weren't.
I can neither confirm nor deny my presence at Worlds this year, as long as this iSilenced is listening in. We'll talk
Good
about
save,
that
good
later.
save. He's gonna be there ducking around the corner, hiding behind everyone. Aye.
No.
Well, getting into the game side of things, like I said, these two drafts, they kind of look like they are refinements from game 1. It's still a lot of early aggression towards the Yomi Tanuki. I am somewhat surprised Apreel didn't go back towards the Pele, though, because
Really?
with this draft having... No, yes, he had a
didn't
really
have
bad
fun.
game last time. But at the same time, you have a draft that is better built around it, and you took away the problem pick in French Emperor's Erlang Shen. Now, against the Susano, it kind of comes down to a matchup of who blinks on who first, but Darji has a little bit more escapability, has some more support around from the team, and can fight fairly effectively against the Susano when ults start coming around. So, again, maybe it is just Apreel saying, you know what, I need something different. I need a stiff drink and a new god.
Yeah. Nothing against Apreel, but if I ever have a game like that, I'm not running the same god back for the second one. I'm saying, okay, that wasn't fun. Give me something more interesting. I like this Daji. It's a lot safer. It does have some good teamfight utility as well. Scarabs, I decided that if they're going to be facing pressure from the jungle, if Apreel is going to be a target, give him some kind of tool for some safety. Now, to see how effective that is, so far the junglers been rather quiet on this map so far. You want to take a
They
look over
have.
here, this mid lane. This Pikarino on Janus now.
Whoa.
Oh, apreel, hang on, makes an early showing. It's the first kill onto OgiBre and said, hey, that one was a fluke. This is what I can really do here.
And this is what the difference is between a Deathwalker on a god that is designed to show up late game and Deathwalker on a god that can be around early. Apreel goes over last time, and it's just for the buff. Goes over this time, it's for a kill. And have a look down on the side of Yomi Tanuki's. All 5 members have beads here. They respect the CC coming through from the Scarabs a lot more here, but apreel is caught very low in the jungle, but the Bastion is there for Trickster Spirit.
Pikarino almost falls. The damage from Zyrhoes as well there. Meanwhile, supports will do support things. Calvìn and iSilenced just having a little bash over a green buff, trying to see who gets that. I don't even know, man. Like, you watch 2 supports fight over a buff, like it's like 2 kids slapping each other.
It is, but we can see now there has been no healing done this game yet. There may very well be healing coming through later. We'll keep an eye on Deathwalker. That may very well be a Pythags piece, which gives that the whole... It's not technically healing done, but it is lifesteal to the entire team. iSilenced as well could look to pick up a meditation. I wouldn't be surprised if Zyrhoes does go back towards the Soul Gem kind of pick. It worked out well for them, and like we saw towards that late stage of the game, the more power you build, the more that Soul Gem passive builds up, and that just means that you're all... I'm pretty sure that Fire Shards is pretty much doubling the scaling on it by picking up Soul Gems. So it is very much almost like a newer exclusive item, similar to like the old days of Golden Blade Mercury was kind of a item that only Mercury built.
Yeah, and then every hunter decided, hey, wait, what if we just built the golden item too and do the funny things? And now we no longer get to have the golden bow. Thanks, guys.
Hey, you get golden gooseberry though. You know, it's like that.
Crazy how we
It's
come
free.
full circle.
Yeah, time is a flat circle at this point. It's not even a ball. It is just a flat circle. Wonder what the record is playing though at this point. That's the real question you got to ask. Is 4 minutes in. Or 4.5 minutes in, it is still only First Blood, but this time, it's apreel who has First Blood, not getting First Blood.
This time around, the Tanuki are much quieter in this game, right? In game 1, this was full aggression from the onset. The Tanuki were building up a lead, they were looking for invades, they were looking to find apreel in the jungle and cut him down, or try to punish iSilenced on his pick. So far, we're 5 minutes in. We haven't really seen much from the Tanuki. We've seen Calvìn kind of walking around trying to contest some buffs. But this shield buff is the first little skirmish we see, and it was just a walk up from StreakUp, impale, and a walk away. What is the difference here between games? Why are Tanuki slowing things down so much now?
I think a little bit of it may be, I hate to say it, but I feel like it's a little bit shell-shock from last game, and also as well now, it's the different draft coming through for both these teams. Sure, it is refinement for the Yomi Tanukis, but it's less refinement as in it's more aggressive early, it's got a little bit that can tailor to the late game. So Scarabs' refinement is it's not all in on the late game, it can fight a little bit early, which kind of helps even things out. Sure, Yomi Tanukis are tailored a bit more that way, they are going to need a little bit more, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is a little bit of a farm fest, try and pull some leads that way, and especially with apreel getting First Blood over on the right-hand side. For those reasons, I feel like that's going to be part of the big change-up dynamic. apreel is onto a much better start, and with this ult from the Powwow coming through, it is essentially Ram meets Ares ult. That's how we always described it when it first came about, because it's just 3 chains that cause problems for you, and Calvìn can't just walk around in the map like this, because they're going to lose more than half of their health for doing so.
Yeah, gets the dash caught there by iSilenced. Has to immediately use the Defender of Olympus to get his way back out of that one. Excellent response from Calvìn. Good reaction time, realizing that he needed to get out of dodge very quickly there. Scarabs showing a little bit more liveliness in this early game, actually moving around the map, looking to catch Calvìn and punish him for his transgressions. He's just kind of been walking around the map, trying to do whatever he wants so far.
Good ult.
Ultimate Comes out from Zyrhoes to avoid the Wind Siphon there. Still, we're 7 minutes in. Only 1 kill on the board. Beacon, not a contention yet. Fury, not going to be looked at until at least another good 5 minutes or so. So what happens here, Blair? Where's the break point for these two teams? Because obviously you want to get your farm. The mid camp's always being looked at. But no one seems willing to really fight over anything just yet.
It's got to come down to the junglers. The whole point in the jungle at this point in the game specifically is to be a breakpoint. It's to find some kind of imbalance or make an imbalance in some way. But both of these two teams feel more comfortable in just farming that up for now. And it does create this little bit of time. Usually you think, oh, my supports. It's supports and jungle. They're the two who roam. They're the two who can start making things happen on the map. But then you've got sort of that checklist or flow list that you've got where you think about it. It's, can I afford to fight? Where can we fight? What do we want to put ahead? What's behind? Those kind of things. And in a very even game like this, if you make a miscall on that, it can be punished. It can be turned on you. And then suddenly that we want to fight and get a lead in, let's say the mid lane. Suddenly your opponent has that lead in the mid lane. We did see TheFrenchEmperor, though, attempt to try and fight into Zyrhoes, but Zyrhoes was so safe and comfortable right now in this pick with the Nuar that they just immediately go further back into the tower, and it completely neuters all further follow-up potential there. So I think probably it has to be towards StreakUp and Echrome. StreakUp showed that they have a fantastic game sense to them in the last match, and Echrome showed that if you let them get to the late stages, you're going to lose all your structures. So I think that is the sort of the linchpin that's holding both these two teams together. So I wouldn't mind seeing TheFrenchEmperor head over that way, maybe force Echrome's ult, force them into an uncomfortable position, because StreakUp can't really be that aggressive into the Chernobog. Anhur has a fantastic early laning phase, but look at the golden gooseberries. That's my example for things. Echrome has it finished. He's been hitting more basics into enemy gods than StreakUp has, because StreakUp hasn't had the luxury of boxing that much.
And so far, very slow duo lane. Both looking to just scale up. And I haven't seen the invades that we saw in game number 1. Each side sticking to their own buffs. And, you know, Echrome, a little bit of an advantage here just because of the fully completed golden gooseberries. Clears a little bit faster, able to push those waves in, which means he gets to farm overall just a little bit more quickly. And you're seeing the results of that constantly, I feel like. We see Anhur StreakUp trying to take his purple buff, and then the minion wave is already pushed up because it just gets cleared so much faster. Golden gooseberries online. Have to be careful. Beacon will be coming up soon. OgiBre getting rotated on, but he's a son Wukong, so is he really concerned? Probably not. He's just going to walk away from that one. Gotta imagine that we're going to see the first inklings of grouping around the beacon.
And this time it should be the Scarabs who are working just that little bit better. I mean, you say it's been a quiet game, but this is very much that, I'm going to use a chess analogy again, it's that very calculated early game. You've gone pretty much book opening the whole time, and both these two teams now are just... take your pick. I'm thinking this is more of a London system. It's a fairly closed position. It's a... Yeah, you asked a question. You didn't know you didn't know what the answer meant on that. Anyone who does know chess, this feels like a London, will know what that means. It's very early. It's not really fighting much. It's just a super solid position that's not punishable. And that's what solo Scarabs have. It's a super solid position in the game that's not punishable, and every small mistake that Yomi Tanuki makes builds that little bit more of a lead. There is one kill in this game that was first blood for 500 gold. Knock that out of the equation, it's still over a 2,000 gold. You know, it's coming up to a 2,000 gold lead at this point. That's just from better farming.
So, is that just like the middle pawn forward?
So I can explain the London opening to you, but I don't think somehow that in a Smite game that's the place for it. But I will. It's a pyramid, basically. It is just a pyramid shape. One pawn, two square forwards, two flanking it. Yeah, you probably shouldn't. They're not that great for you. As you can see right now, right at the top of the damage charts, a lot of the net worth in the solo side, not in these fights just yet. A lot of ults being used. And I am wondering whether or not now is the time to start potentially rotating these solo laners over. But I don't think Solo Scarabs even need Deathwalker, which means Deathwalker gets to do what they want to do, and that's farm for 20 minutes and show up late game.
Man, I'm so surprised that Tanuki back off there as quickly as they did. Scarabs burned 3 ults just trying to get rid of Calvìn. And sure, you lost the Defender of Olympus. But to completely give up the Gold Fury in its entirety, allow the Scarabs to push this lead a little bit further, which, as you mentioned, has been growing from farm alone. It feels risky. The Tanuki lost with a lead in game number 1. A massive lead. We cannot understate that enough. Now Calvìn being looked at through space and time does come through. Calvin's going to be just fine. He's a tanky boy right now. Echrome gets taunted, pushed back into the obelisk. Now, so once again, damage onto Calvìn, has to dash away. FrenchEmperor, though, has paid the price for Calvin's aggression. Gonna be an easy kill there. Pikarino now being looked at, gets a lot of damage put down. Apreel dives in, but the Aegis negates the damage, and StreakUp finds that kill. Calvìn still sticking around with that health bar. Tier 1 does fall. It's not the cleanest trade for the Scarabs.
It's not, but it's map presence that just explodes out in their favor. They trade a single pawn for a lot of activity. They blow open the center of the board. Yeah, I'm going with chest analogies to this one. You've decided. Look, so you've traded a flank pawn, like one of your C or F pawns, and those have allowed you to open up that mid position. Huh? So, yeah. You've traded that out for one of them for that middle game. So sure, they lose a kill there, but look at what they got in exchange for it. They got a Gold Fury. They then got a big fight afterwards where they don't necessarily they trade 1 for 1, but that mid tower is gone. Players respawn, that tower will not. That's gone for good now. And it's a little bit of extra gold to build that lead just a little bit further, but pushing that mid tower means that now Pyromancer is safer for Solar Scarabs. They can look at the next Fury, it's a bit safer. And it now means as well that Zyrhoes, they don't have to worry so much about, is Pikarino going to rotate around, out-rotate me like a Janus is likely able to do and more inclined to try and do, because they don't have, they've now got to worry about, if I leave a wave going, it's my tier 2 tower that's being pressured out. And Scarabs are just constantly controlling this map, just that one step ahead. First Pyromancer goes their way, first Tower goes their way, first Blood goes their way, and the same for the Fury. And it's Yomi Tanukis now who are feeling like Solar Scarabs in game 1.
Oh, I mean, if they're feeling like the Solar Scarabs in game number 1, that might not be the worst feeling in the world, given how that one ended.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think you want to go through that whole gauntlet and try to recreate the ending if you're the Tanuki, though. They have to find something to try to bring this back to parity for themselves. It's already starting to slip away just a little bit here. Gold lead growing around the 5,000 mark at this point. Only 3 kills on board. It's constantly just the farm being fought over. The map pressure. Solar Scarabs are doing an excellent job of it so far. Oni Fury will be the next objective being looked at here. We do approach 16-minute mark. And the way it's been going, the Solar Scarabs, they've constantly, as you've said, have the first step. They're the ones at these objectives first, and the ones really kicking things off. And I don't think the Tanuki want to give up an Oni Fury for free. That gives so much map pressure to the other side. It can lead to Fire Giants, it can lead to tier 2s being pressured. They've already got one exposed. Don't want the Onis wailing on that while the Scarabs are stripping away the tier 1s.
Not right now, and you can see as well, the way that Solar Scarabs are building, they're atomizing. Zyrhoes is going back to the exact same build as before, but apreel now, Serrated Edge, 3rd item. Usually we see this coming through a little bit later. It's kind of this item where it's like, yeah, I just need some extra pen. Everything else is there for it. Apreel's just like, no, I want to do damage right now, because that's what they want to, that's all they need to do right now. Their CC is so good. I mean, iSilenced alone, if iSilenced was the only god on this team that had CC, I would be saying they've got enough CC, because it's a Ganesha with a knock-up, with a stun, with a silence. Like, that's that's better than they had last game in a single god.
Yeah.
But now they've got even more than that. And with Echrome coming back in, they want this fight on
Catan.
the right side.
Oh, apreel used Patricia Spirit. Goes and closes it up. StreakUp cannot survive, even with the bees Aegis used. It's one down, Calvìn. You look at as well. You know, the back, TheFrenchEmperor also being pressured out. It is 3 kills going the way of Solar Scarabs. Pikarino tries to put some damage down. It's not enough to take out apreel now. It's Eerie being looked at. Pikarino not in any position to step forward on this one. He has to simply stand back and watch this one happen. Scarabs came up the fight easily. Push their lead to 7,000 at the 17.5-minute mark.
That is
and
a
a beacon.
blunder. Yeah, that is in chess terms, that is known as a blunder.
I think it's known as a blunder in Smite too.
Yeah, okay, it's a bit of a blunder in Smite as well. StreakUp just plays a little too aggressively. You have to know that the Chernobog has ult. We've not seen the ult come through outside of Echrome diving and joining other players at this point in time. So you have to know that the way this game is going, that is the game plan here. And at this point in time, OgiBre has not rotated. I'm sorry, but you're level 18. You have a magical defense item that gives mitigation. I don't have enough physical defense. No, you have mitigation. You need to be there in this fight. Like, you have sustain.
Too.
I mean, breastplate is considerably the best item in the game. You've now got that. So at this point in time, OgiBre's build is finished. Not quite, but I mean, the best item's been built online. It's like something like 50 protections you get from the passive alone. Because it's 28 Fizz, 28 Mage, then double each of them. Yeah, it's actually gross. Yeah, it's 57 times 8 is 56. So
we're doing math on
physical,
cast now.
56 magical. I know, I'm breaking the code here. There's 111 physical protections. Now, I'm not saying this item needs to be nerfed, but I don't think that 111 physical protections on a single item is a good idea. But it does mean, though, that OgiBre should now be able to be a part of these fights, and Solar Scarabs have recognized that that's going to be the case. But if they get a good fight here, it's fire, not pyro, that's being fought over. Echrome's here, and Calvìn has to dip.
Yeah, he goes right back to the team, but it's right into iSilenced. apreel is there to help on out. Pikarino, through space and time, does get out of dodge, but like you said, you just touched on, the Solar Scarabs force the Tanuki back. And it's not the Pyromancer they want, but the big fire giant itself. This one's going to go down. Scarabs cement themselves an easy lead. Over 10k now. Hey, why not? Pick up both. Get the Runic Bomb. Start looking at these tier 2s. Not a single tier 1 left standing for the Tanuki. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, it's the exact opposite of that. All 3 tier 1s standing for the Scarab. The Tanuki have not been able to pick up any of this standing gold. No neutral objectives, no towers. It's just constantly Scarabs finding all the value.
And it's been so well played. That was a TKO. Calvìn TKO'd, got the ult, and that was it. This punishment from the Solar Scarabs. It is only a mistake if you are punished for it. And you can see right there, Calvìn is punished for the mistake of thinking they were allowed to be anywhere near the middle of the map.
Man, he just gets shredded down so quickly. The Scarabs putting out so much damage right now. That's to be expected with the Fire Giant buff around all 5 members. Go ahead and see some grouping on this left side. Take down this tier 2. Could be looking at just a clean sweep of the tier 2 towers. Though, depending on how long it takes the Tanukis to reset from that right side, let's see a Phoenix being pressured.
They'll go for it, yeah, they're looking at it.
Yeah, they're looking for it.
Calvin's just in.
Pikarino comes in from the back, puts some good damage down, but not nearly enough. That bird is gone, doused. Echrome goes up, back down onto OgiBre. And for a little bit more of the fight, Fire Shards come down, put some good damage out. Calvìn getting melted once again, and Zyrhoes picks that one up. From the side, Deathwalker throwing the taiko drums out, pulls TheFrenchEmperor in, the thunder crash, misses, locks him down. It can't be gained just yet, surely. Pikarino still alive. 2 tier 2 towers still on the board. Calvìn 15 seconds away. There you go, the Scarabs are going to back off. Tier 2s will fall. Be looking at another Phoenix dropped as well with all this pressure from the Scarabs. Only 2 alive. Calvìn respawns. How much can he do? Not enough to stop this bird from falling.
Not even remotely. Pikarino just gets thunder crashed in on and is immediately like, no, I'm not having absolutely none of that. No, thank you. No, I'm not buying what you're selling. Here, take the house. Take the car, take the keys. There you go. Go. It's yours now. And that, because they have to. If they fight there, then he's going to take the car and the house and everything in it, because that would be game. Admittedly, I did call that was game early, but I was thinking that back to game 1 where all the tier 2 towers had gone, as Pikarino tries to get some farm. Echrome don't care. Echrome is practically full build here. No crit, but look at how much damage he's pumping out.
Yeah, he does not need the big funny crit numbers to be doing these kinds of damage. Pikarino, already a squishy target against Chins and Executioner and Dominance. There's so much ped there. He's basically doing true damage at that point. Why not? Echrome is just unstoppable.
It's the DK meme. He just looks at Pikarino, throws an unstable body, goes, now you die. Punches him square in the face.
God.
And he just deletes another member. FrenchEmperor is gone. And keep in mind that whilst sure, Solar Scarabs still need silence to hit level 20, everyone else is there. And Calvìn is level 15.
Yeah.
FrenchEmperor is level 18 and 0-5. They're doing their best. Apreel impression from game 1. It's pretty good so far. It's pretty good so far, all things considered. As now the last Phoenix is being looked at. Calvìn can't push up, but they're being forced to because they're being taunted back in.
Oh my god, Calvìn just too low to do anything there. He burns so quickly. Meanwhile, on the back, OgiBre up in the somersault cloud, but he's getting shredded just as quickly as Calvìn. Apreel picks up StreakUp, and that is only one left. Who even needs the Phoenix? This is our triple kill for Apreel, and this blur. This is. Oh my god. They have to kill the Titan twice now. Alright, well, it's gonna fall quickly the first time. Now this should be the game. FrenchEmperor cannot put up a defense 1v5. He's trying his best, but they're just farming damage numbers on him. And Deathwalker barely survives as the Titan falls down. Solar Scarabs, they game number 2, 1-15. Not quite as dominant as the early game of game 1, but pretty convincing.
Yeah, you know it's bad when the Titan is trying to leave to get away from what's coming through. Straight up, the Titan is just like, oh, yeah, did I leave the oven or I gotta go? Just straight up leaving.
Trying to pick his kids up from the lane.
Yeah, you say they gotta kill it twice. They could have done that 3-4 times by the time anyone could from, the Yomi Tanukis could have respawned. What a dominating performance here. We go from an end game positional masterclass using the entirety of your support's health bar, baiting out abilities, to now just saying, yeah, we're just going to farm the map in the first 20 minutes better than you and make you look really, really stupid for even trying to fight us. And that's exactly what Solar Scarabs did there. It is the reason that they are the number 2 seed and they are 4-1, losing only to the number 1 seed here.
Yeah, Scarabs just so clean this time around. They recognized their faults in game number 1. They had plenty of time to think about it. And they adapted just the way they needed to. They said, okay, we're not playing so aggressively. Reel things back in. Don't give the Tanuki the opportunities to find those early kills. Because the Scarabs, they do just farm better. They built up a 2k lead off of camps and minions alone. Tanuki did not find an answer to that throughout the entirety of that game. I'm not sure which win is more impressive. The dominance from Solar Scarabs throughout the entirety of game 2, or their tenacity, their ability to hold on through hell and high water, through thick and thin, to make such a comeback play in game 1 to put them in this position in the first place.
I think they're both equally as impressive, just for the opposite reasons, like you said. Hey, that's not a cop-out. That's a good reason. You win in the early game or you win in the late game. You don't, to be able to do both, though, is what is impressive. That is the point that I was trying to get to before you so rudely interrupted me, it's the switch up.
That's
You
what I
can't
do.
be you can't be like, look back to the Kings at Worlds. Their whole shtick was, we don't necessarily do the best in the early game, so you can get a lead on us, but we will outplay you so well in the late game that it will not matter. This team just says, hey, you can outplay us in the early game, so what? We'll just take it to the late game and absolutely demolish you in 40 minutes after winning back-to-back-to-back team fights from behind. They'll also go ahead and say, okay, well, we'll play for the late game. We'll take you on even field. They'll say, yeah, but we're going to fight you early. It is so well played from the Solar Scarabs to be able to mix up those kind of plays, and they are 100% deserved of that 2-0 win there.
The Solar Scarabs put on a masterclass throughout this set here. They secure themselves on the road to Worlds, lock in their place in that seeding. That's going to do it for us here for now. It's going to be more SCC later on in the evening. But before we get to all that on the NA side, first, you got to get through the SPL. Those are the games really show you what's what. Thanks so much for joining. It's been Spooky and Blur. We'll see you next time. Enjoy the SPL.